Hello YouTube, my name is Nye, you're watching Folk Friend, your one-stop shop for Celtic backing guitar tutorials, and in today's video I'm going to be showing you a really simple, if you'll pardon the pun, real strumming variation which is going to make your playing a lot more rhythmic and fluid and funky. The strumming pattern I'm going to be using is a very simple one. It's called the bump chack bumper chacker pattern because it goes bump chack bumper chacker like that. And this is probably the most common real pattern that you see kind of your average Celtic backing guitarist doing, and that is why I've used that one in this clip. I'm also tuned in DADGAD tuning. I know there's a lot of DADGAD fans out there. If you're not used to DADGAD and you want to strum along in standard tuning, you can do that. You just need to convert the shapes that I'm using to standard chord shapes, and I will run you through as we go through what those are. If you want to learn the bump chack bumper chacker pattern, you can find a link to that as well. I've made a video showing you how to play that in the corner of the screen. So what is this funky pattern I've been talking about? Basically, what you want to do is change chords either on the last crotchet or quarter beat for the Americans of the bar, so that you're changing into the next bar's chord one crotchet too early, or I'm going to show you a funkier version where you actually change a crotchet and a half too early, which actually sounds a lot more cool and jazzy. But if you start out with changing a crotchet too early, so let's say that we've got a bar of D followed by a bar of G. So you'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Something like that. And if you wanted to funk that up a little bit, what you would do is you'd go 1, 2, 3 on D, 4 is where you change to G, and then you carry on G for the rest of the bar. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is a really nice little rhythmic variation which you can just throw in to make your simple chord changes sound a little bit more cool. It kind of pushes the rhythm a little bit as well, because you're changing slightly early. It pushes the rhythm and it kind of adds energy to the tune, kind of sucks the tune along in a way. So that's one way you can implement that. Another way that you can do it, which I actually prefer, I think this is more funky, is to actually change a crotchet and a half or a quarter beat and a half too early. So that, with the same chord progression, just a bar each of D and G, would sound like this. 1, 2, 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and. So with my bump chack bumper chacker, down, 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 up, I'm actually changing the chord on and up. So down, 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 up, down, up, 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 down. Up, down, up, down, 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 up, down, up. So there you have two slight variants of the same rhythmic variation. As I say, I prefer the second one, but a lot of people find the first one easier. Maybe have a go at both, get them both under your belt, and then see where you can implement them. Talking of implementing them, let's go back to Maid Behind the Bar. This is going to be demonstrated now using a play-along video I made some time ago for this tune. It's a really nice reel in D Ionian. You can find it up there in a little card in the corner of the screen. So using that, I'm going to show you a few places you could implement this in conjunction with linking chords to really sound very pro, but just using very simple chords in DADGAD. So my kind of most basic chord progression for the A part of this tune is this. We've just got D, G and A, very simple. So we're going to take this progression, and instead of going D, 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 G, G, A, we're going to go D, 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 little linking chord to link into G. And with linking chords, what I like to do is use these kind of approach chords. So you can approach a chord from one step in either direction in the key's scale. So this tune is in the key of D major, and if I grab my mode wheel and I put it on D Ionian, that's the same thing as D major, here's my chord 1, here's G major, my chord 4, and you can see that to one side of that I've got F sharp minor below it, and on the other side I've got chord 5. As I've said in previous videos, chord 5 only goes at the ends of sections or on the 7th foot taps in Celtic music, normally anyway. So we're not going to use chord 5, we're going to link into our G from below using F sharp minor. And the way that we're going to do that in DADGAD is like this. Like that. So I'm using this nice slidey shape, I'm keeping my index finger on from the D chord. Just going to stick my ring finger on the 4th fret of the bottom string, and then I'm going to slide up into G. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. Something like that. For guitarists in standard tuning, you just take your D chord and put your thumb around the back so it hits the 2nd fret, and that's going to be your little linking chord to link you from D into G. So D, D with the thumb, or D over F sharp to give it its proper name, and then G. So I've converted my chord progression now from being rather boring. I've just put a nice little link, and that kind of sucks me into the G, and that sounds pretty cool. Another thing that you might want to do is, you've got rather a lot of D at the start here, so instead of just staying on D for ages, you can actually fluctuate a little bit away from D and then come back to it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a substitute for the C sharp diminished chord, which is the 7th chord in D major, and then I'm going to come back to D. So using that same rhythmic variation, I'm going to switch from D to a substitute for the C sharp diminished chord. In this case, in DADGAD, it's very easy to get that. You just add your 3rd finger on the 4th fret of the A string. The easiest way for standard tuning guitarists to play this C sharp diminished substitute is going to be to have a look at a D chord and then switch where your ring finger normally is so that your middle finger is fretting that, the 3rd fret on the B string, and then move that ring finger to the 4th fret on the A string, and that gives you this, which is a very nice substitute for a C sharp diminished. I'm going to use this same rhythmic variation pattern that I was using before. So 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then just for a bit of variation, the last time I might switch my 1st chord to its related minor. So instead of D, I'll play B minor, like this, very simple, 2 fingers again. And with this one, I'm going to use B minor, I'm going to drift down to the A and then back to B minor. And then I'm going to use that same approach chord for G, so that'll give me B minor, A, B minor, F sharp, G, A. Something like that. For the B minor 7 chord, standard tuned guitarists can use the same shape as DADGADists if they're feeling lazy, so just 2 fingers like that. And that's going to give you a B minor 11 chord, which is a very nice substitute for a B minor. So you can see by just using this little simple rhythmic variation and some nice approach chords from within the chord scale, you can get some really interesting effects, and it makes you sound a lot more pro, even though you're still basically fundamentally just playing D, G and A, very simple chords. Last thing quickly, you will have noticed a little while ago I used this tool, the amazing mode wheel. This is my own invention and it's a really handy way of memorising all the chords that you can use. What it does, it's got these little windows here and you just turn them around to the relevant mode for the tune that you're playing in, and then it shows you all the chords in the middle, and it also shows you all the other modes which have the same notes in. So this is a really handy way of memorising your key signatures and the chords which fit in any mode, and seeing the relationships between different modes and how that works. If you want one of these, you can find them at finaleguitar.co.uk/shop. There's a link in the corner of the screen to the page where you can buy them as well, and you can find more info in the box down below. So that is it for this video. Next week I'm going to be covering chord scales, exactly what those are, a few little exercises for memorising those really quickly. That I think is probably one of the most useful exercises that you can ever do as a backing guitarist. So stay tuned for that, that'll be out next Saturday. You can also find loads more Celtic guitar tutorials from me linked at the end of this clip, and they're in a playlist on my channel Folk Friend. I release a new video every Saturday, so hit the subscribe button, you'll get all my free content straight to your inbox. And there's also Folky Fridays every Friday at 5:30 UK time. So thank you very much for watching, check out my other videos, check out my books at finaleguitar.co.uk/shop, and I'll see you all for more tutorials very, very soon.